everyone, my name is Emily Teacher, and today we'll be reading A Mouse is Born. In 1927, Walt Disney worked in the movie business, producing short animated cartoons. He had started his own film company in Los Angeles 4 years before, at the age of 21, with $500 borrowed from a relative. During those 4 years, his business provided him with a meager living. He worked hard on his films, struggling to pay off the debt. His cartoons were about a character, Oswald, the Lucky Rabbit. A film distributor in New York had been buying his films and renting them to movie houses. The distributor could make a big profit if a film was successful. Disney, on the other hand, was paid a fixed amount for each movie. He got no share of the profits. When the contract with the distributor came to an end, Walt Disney decided to go to New York with his wife Lily to negotiate a better deal for himself. So we're talking about Walt Disney, right? When he first started off, he was just very young at 21, had a little bit of money, and he worked selling out his cartoons, right? So the distributor would keep the movies and pay Walt the same amount every time. But then the distributor would rent it to movie theaters and they would get paid more and more if it was popular. But Walt didn't get to see that money. So he was looking for somewhere else to go. At the meeting, the distributor not only declined all of Disney's proposals, but also told the young filmmaker that he would reduce the payments he was making for each cartoon. So he said he would pay him even less than before. He knew very well that Disney had no money to pay lawyers to fight him in the courts. Even worse, the distributor boasted that he had secretly hired Disney's own artists to do the drawings for future Oswald movies. Disney was bitter that the distributor had betrayed him, but there was nothing he could do about it. He vowed never to sell another of his movies to anyone. He would rent them to distributors, of course. In the future, though, he would retain ownership. So he learned his lesson. Instead of giving his movies to others, he decided that he would become his own distributor. So he would keep the rights to his movies and he could make the money from them. Walt Disney was in a somber mood when he and Lily boarded the train for Los Angeles. During the long journey across the country, he decided to create a new character to take the place of Oswald. After making a few marks on paper, he showed Lily a sketch of a mouse. Immediately, she noticed the likeness between her husband and the creature he had drawn. Both had a look of harmless mischief. She was convinced that audiences would love the little mouse with the happy face. She was dismayed, however, when her husband told her he planned to name it Mortimer. That just didn't sound right to her. What about Mickey? She suggested. Mickey Mouse. As soon as he arrived in Los Angeles, Walt Disney went to work on the first Mickey Mouse cartoons. He had completed 2 and was working on Steamboat Willie, his third, when sound began to be added to movies. Suddenly, silent movies were obsolete. Disney promptly added a soundtrack to Steamboat Willie. The shrill voice of Mickey was supplied by Walt Disney himself. So when he started making his third cartoon, Steamboat Willie, which is his most famous, sound started to be added to movies. So he had to add a soundtrack to the back of it so it was not silent. After this time, there were no more silent movies. When the movie opened in New York in September 1928, it was a sensation. Audiences roared with laughter at Mickey's hilarious adventures. Subsequent movies starring the lovable Mickey Mouse were equally successful at the box office. In just 3 years, Walt Disney's company was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and Mickey Mouse was famous. Thank you for reading with me today. We do have links related to each of these stories. If you want the link for this video here, you can find it down in the description below.